and welcome to episode 18 of Missed Mando, Ontario's source for the latest in the disc golf world. I'm your host, Robbie Holden, joined by my friends and co-hosts, Sean Galbraith and Galen Naidoo-Harris. Galen, how are you doing, and what have you been up to since our last episode, my friend?
18, man. Our podcast can vote. It can join the military. I think it can buy a lottery ticket. I'm not sure. But this is exciting. Who'd have thought when we were all, texting in a group chat months and months ago that we were going to get to 18 episodes? Not me. Well, actually, I probably did, but I don't know. Sounds like it's fun to reflect at different milestones, and for whatever reason, the fact we've done 18 episodes, I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. I'm good, man. As anybody that has been paying attention or listening to me complain the last couple of weeks would know, I've been nursing an injury, so not a ton of play for me. I by the way, I recently found out what the heck is going on, which is good, and I found out that it should be treated by physio, which is good. Yeah, Sean is typing out, you complain every week for the record in our show notes. That is absolutely accurate. But it's because there's so much fun stuff happening in the disc golf world, and I feel I've definitely got a lot of FOMO right now. Like the last month, my favorite time to play disc golf is the fall. And this is like, if there was ever a time to get injured, I would pick literally any other time of the year on the disc golf calendar other than right now. But yeah, I now know that is tendonitis, and it is treatable, and I will be back soon. So that's good. I also did try, before I knew what it was, to dig into some disc golf a couple of times, like just sort of taking a couple of weeks off and then like trying around to see how it felt. So I played Battle of the Alphas the first 2 rounds, had a blast. I always have so much fun playing that course, but didn't come back for the third. And then I also played around a Glowy last week for my 30th birthday, which was super cool. I got some folks out to play around a Glowy, and the shoulder didn't complain too much, even though I did when I threw poorly, and had a wicked time. And yeah, I've still been hosting our regular Glowy league at Kelso too, so I'm getting my exposure to the community through that and through our little pod and all my group chats, but my fear of missing out is real and hopefully will not last for too much longer. How about you, Sean? Other than being annoyed at me for always complaining about my shoulder every time that we record, what's new with you, buddy? How you doing?
Doing fantastic. The only real disc golf that I've played was at your birthday at Kelso for that Glowy round. It was so much fun. That's such a fun little course. Thankfully, we did not play the new Black 9 at night. That would have been a nightmare. It was a lot of fun. It was super fun seeing you throw left-handed to try and save your shoulder a little bit, and I had a lot of fun trying to throw right-handed.
I was gonna say, I love that you joined me for some offhand throws with your offhand, which is your right, and you were putting me to shame, man. You got some pretty good form with your non-dominant hand. I'm impressed.
If you live life as a left-handed in a right-handed world, you pick up the occasional skill here and there. But that was it for me. Last weekend I was up at Provincials, not playing because I am not good. But I was there helping out and photographing all 3 days, getting some great shots of the amazing competitors. I think I got everyone or almost everyone at least one picture. Some of them actually turned out, and it was just awesome to see the great disc golf that was being played on all 3 great courses by was a couple hundred amazing competitors. So cool. How about you, Robbie? What have you been up to?
I have same old. We got a tournament every single weekend. We will talk about those a little bit more coming up. I played in Stone's Throw. I played Provincials. I was fortunate enough to qualify for that earlier in the year. And then just had a great Thanksgiving since the last time we've had a show. Got to go to my grandparents and hang out with aunts, uncles, cousins, the whole bit, which, after a busy summer, playing a lot of tournaments, not being available on a lot of weekends to do stuff, it's always nice to get to hang out with the family. So that's pretty much it that's been going on for me. So let's get into this show, and let's start off with a little bit of Ontario news and breaking news. Not really breaking. This was announced at Provincials over the weekend at some point. I believe it was at the players' party. I unfortunately wasn't there. I was staying at a buddy's cottage that was like an hour away from Huntsville and the actual courses, enjoying his sauna right on Lake Muskoka, which was just fantastic. Shout out Jeff. But announced at Provincials, 2025 Ontario Provincial Championships are going to be held in, drumroll please, I don't know if Sean can edit some drum music in here, Guelph, Ontario. That's right, Guelph, Ontario, my home club. I'm super pumped about this. And yeah, I mean, what do you boys think about Provincials coming to Guelph, Ontario?
I'm thinking your commute is going to be a lot easier.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. I assume we're going to be playing Eastview and Vic Valley.
That would be my assumption.
To Diameter Open Guelph Championship thing. The Queen City, what is it called that we played this year?
This year it was the Guelph Royale.
That's Guelph Royale,
formerly known as the
Guelph
Diameter
Royale
Open.
with cheese.
Yes.
The Guelph Royale, which you know why they call it a Royale?
Don't care.
Because the metric system.
Because of the metric system. Yeah, I assume it will be at Eastview and Vic Park Valley. I could see them potentially using Riverside for like juniors. Maybe.
Couple laps around.
Yeah, they could do that. But and the ARB, as much as I love the ARB, that is no way, shape, or form that can host a big tournament like that. So Eastview or Vic Park Valley, Eastview and Vic Park Valley, I should say, is my bet for sure. And I'm pumped for that, as it's my home club, my home courses that I play the most. I was so excited when I heard about this.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The Royale was great. The Diameter Open a couple years ago was great. These are super fun courses, and it'll be awesome to have Provincials there.
Great tournament crew in Guelph as well, of course, with the man in charge, Kevin McIntosh, K-Mac, our club president. He's the tournament director for the big tournaments that we have. He will be the tournament director for next year's provincial championships as well. And I'm sure that there will be a lot of the similar tournament staff that we've had in the past, with Bevy, our boy Bevy, Paulina as well in the mix with the Guelph Club. It will be a lot of fun there. Also announced at Provincials, 2025 Northern Ontario Championships is going to be held in, drumroll please, this is going to be awkward if Sean can't edit in drum, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. So I'm pumped about this. I haven't played the courses in Sault Ste. Marie before. I have heard great things. Have you guys been out that way before to play any of the courses? Nope. That's some head shakes. Yeah, as long as it's not a good weekend, I'm definitely planning on making it out there for this one for sure.
That's up where Gap's Gambit is, if I remember.
Correct.
Yeah, I have never been to Sault Ste. Marie. It is an unfortunate stain on my record of traveling around the province. I've yet to make it up there for it. But, I mean, if that weekend is, I don't know when it is, but if that weekend turns out to be a good one, I am excited to go up to play there. I've heard nothing but good things about the courses up there. St. Joseph Island, I believe it is. Super, super cool that they're getting the knock.
Heck yeah. And I love that we're rotating too. I mean, I haven't been playing disc golf long enough to know, if this is a period of additional sort of change or if it's sort of standard, but there are some sports where you'll have the biggest events annually in the same places. Even when multiple different courses and areas submit bids every year, it feels like there's a disproportionate amount that go to the same area sometimes in some sports. So for me, as somebody who's only been playing for, I guess this will be going on my fourth year, it's been nice that there have been a bunch of different courses featured in the major tournaments like NOC and Provincials. So Somebody like me who hasn't played Sault Ste. Marie before, and hasn't played a lot of courses before, like that's a great excuse for me to try a new course, to plan a little road trip with the wife and puppy. And so I love seeing this variance too, and where these big events are happening. Couldn't be more excited about Guelph because I love playing there. I don't always play very well when I play at either Vic Valley or at Eastview, but I always have a fantastic time. Shut up. Yeah, you do, because you and I played, I think it was at least one, maybe two of my rounds in the Sanction League together, and they were both pretty miserable.
When you play in the middle of a thunderstorm, it's not not very conducive to good disc golf.
No.
The rotation also does a great thing for showing off new courses as well, because I went to Thunder Bay last year entirely for nationals and got to discover two of the best hidden gems in the entire province in Dragon Hills and Birch Point. And, you know, Knock this year was supposed to be in Thunder Bay. I think because Nationals was there the year before, not as many people were willing to make another trip out to Thunder Bay. But Sault Ste. Marie, not quite as far. It's still very far from where we are in Southern Ontario, but not quite as far as Thunder Bay. So hopefully that will help people make the decision to actually go up there and try those courses. And I've never been there, so as long as it works out scheduling wise, I absolutely plan to be there for that one. But Shawnee G, we're almost at the end of the tournament season for 2024, but we're not there quite yet. What have we got coming up for registrations and upcoming tournaments in Ontario?
I thought last episode, when I ran down the list of upcoming events, that would be basically it for the year. Nope. We have more added to the list. So, Space Race in Midland this Friday, October 25th. Eddie Ween out at Eddyville Super Spin near Ottawa, October 26th. Thomas Gilbert, who's coming on the show in a little bit, we'll talk a little bit more about these events. He's dropped 2 Battle with Big Maples. You get 2 discs, 2 Thought Space discs. You bring one of your own. Cedar Creek, October 26th, and VA Barrie, October 27th. This October 26th is a big day. We got the Spooky Soiree Doubles Glowy out in St. Catharines. A new event, the Holy Macro, I love the name, the Holy Macro event in Sudbury, October 26th. In the afternoon, you're playing with macro discs, the 6-inch large minis. And then by day, and then in the evening, you're playing a round of glowies. Super fun, super cool. Brantford at Mohawk on October 27th. Brooklyn Okrafka and Colleen McInnes doing a fundraiser tournament there. Should be a lot of fun. Huntsville, the last sanctioned tournament event in Ontario, as best I can tell, for 2024, with the Big East Open at the new course there. It's a 9-hole course put in by Kevin Farley, but with Fluent Disc Golf. But apparently it is, do not think that just because it's a 9-hole course that this is some easy thing. This is basically a tough 9-hole course.
And the craziest thing with this weekend of stuff on the 26th and 27th is this is just stuff where registration is still open.
Yeah.
For me, as you were going through this, I was like, oh yeah, that's the Bronte Creek Classic weekend. I think there are probably other events that are on the calendar too, but oh my goodness, what a weekend that's going to be.
Yeah. These are just ones that you can still get into. You're not getting into the Bronte Classic. That thing is very, very sold out. But that is definitely the biggest event left on the calendar in Ontario for 2024. But of course, the best event is October 30th at White Spruce, Jangalaqua, random glowy doubles at my home course. Can't miss event of the season. Super, super fun track. Super fun event. Very unsanctioned. Very fun. This year raising funds to help pay for the T-pad project at White Spruce. And if you've been to White Spruce this year and you've seen the new T-pads, you know how big of an improvement that is for that course, which definitely needed that upgrade. Next, the Guelph Disc Golf Club is holding a MVP space race on November 9th at Eastview. And the Great Discape at St. Julian's in London is going down also on November 9th. Discape is a new manufacturer of discs. I think they're based out of Toronto, and this is one where you'll get their 3-disc starter set, and you play your round just with those discs. I think it's $40 a person. Looks like that's going to be a lot of fun. But the big announcement, we hinted at it last week, November 10th, Eastview in Guelph. Come on out for the Missed Mando Mayhem. This is going to be absolutely ridiculous round of chaos disc golf. $20 a person. Bring your own partner. What we're going to do is we're setting up a 20-hole course. We're adding a hole. I'm going to bring out my basket. We're going to add a hole to the course somewhere. And every hole will have at least one totally unnecessary Mando to make the course utterly ridiculous. Usually, ideally, multiple Mandos, or like Mandos that force you to throw like a roller or a grenade, or something to make you very frustrated for playing this course. There will be no drop zones, so you have to make the Mando if you miss it. It's going to be great, silly fun. There will be no personal bests on this course set that day unless you are an incredibly good disc golfer. We're going to raise money for the local food bank. We're going to have cash payouts for 3 teams in Pro Division, 3 teams in Am Division, and all other money raised is going to the food bank. We'll do like food donation gets you a mulligan, and you're going to need it. So bring food to donate. This is going to be, like I said, super ridiculous fun, completely unreasonable Mandos. It is very unserious, but we're going to be raising money for a very good cause, and we cannot wait to see everybody out there. We're going to have, like I said, I think we got room for 80 players, 40 teams. So get your team together. Registration is going to be done on site day of. It's going to be a blast.
I cannot wait. I'm amazed to how quickly this idea came together and turned around into actually hosting an event. I am just, I'm so excited. But on that note, what do you fellas say we jump ahead to some tournament recaps? We start our local recaps by heading to Enterprise, Ontario, and the beautiful Stones Throw Disc Golf Course for the annual Stones Throw Fall Open. This event saw 71 people competing across 12 divisions, including a 7-person MPO field. In that MPO division, Chris O'Zolins continued his hot 2024 season, shooting a 1038 rated -8 in the first round to take a 4-stroke lead over local youngster Carter Yeomans going into the final round. The final round started slow for both, only getting 1 birdie in each of the first 6 holes, and by the time they got to hole 15, Oz was maintaining a 3-stroke advantage. That's when we get to the Missed Mando turning point, with Carter getting a birdie on 15 to get a stroke back, followed by a bogey by Oz to shrink the lead to 1 with 2 holes left. Carter would pick up another birdie on 17 to tie the lead, and then laid down a perfect drive on 18 to put the pressure on Oz, who didn't have a great tee shot. And after watching Carter lace a perfect approach to C1, he pulled off an absolutely insane overhand approach to the green, getting to C1 for a birdie putt to match Carter. But Oz unfortunately would send his putt too high, which left Carter with a 20-foot putt for the win, which he put in the center of the chains for his first pro win at his home course. Carter averaged 1,002 rated for the event, the highest event average of his young career. And he's just 18 years old, so the best is yet to come for Carter. There was no FPO at this event, but over on the amateur side in MA1, it was Gavin Bridgewater and yours truly tied for the lead at even par after round 1. But in round 2, James Atkinson took advantage of slow starts from the leaders and went -4 with no bogeys on the front 9 to tie myself for the lead. After James birdied 10 and 14, while I bogeyed 12 and 13, we both birdied 15, and James had a 4-stroke lead with only 3 holes to play. I was able to get birdies on 16 and 17 to shrink the lead to 2, but I knew it was going to take a miracle on 18 to force a playoff. I didn't have the best tee shot, but James threw his OB, which started to give me a little bit of hope. But my approach shot came up short, while James was able to scramble into C1 for a putt for bogey, and he wasn't missing those putts in that round. He was dialed, so I knew I had to throw it in to force a playoff. 100-foot hyzer throw over some tree branches. I was short and left of the entrance of 18 for anybody familiar with stone's throw. But the shot just felt absolutely perfect out of my hands, was tracking right to the pin, and then bang, right off the top of the basket. James would then hit that putt for bogey and take the 1-stroke win, his first MA1 win of his career, and his first 1,000 rated round in the final round to get it done. James has had a remarkable growth in the game this season, starting the year at 873 rated, playing in MA3, and he's now 924 rated and winning in MA1. It's been amazing to watch my gripped and ripped teammate shred it up this season. Galen, let's go over to you first on this one, my friend. Let's hear some of your thoughts from the Stones Throw Fall Open.
Yeah, just quickly, an adjacent thought. So, yeah, a couple of us, including James, are in a group chat, just totally disc golf related. And so we were following along and just kind of going, oh my God, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? Because it was pretty clear that he was tracking towards a 4-digit round. And so to watch him pull that off with 1,001 rated round was insane. I was really happy for him. And I'm having trouble recalling now if it was, I think it was the very next day. At Niagara League, it might have been the following
on
weekend.
Another 1,000 rated round.
He shot 1,001 rated round and then followed it up with 1,006 rated round at Fireman's in Niagara. And I'm so proud of that guy. He has gotten so good so fast. So I'm really happy for James is my first thought. Sorry that he had to beat you out to do it, but I couldn't imagine a better MA1 1-2 than you two. So I'm jacked up about that. I was actually at that event, so I'd initially planned to play. The disc golf and shoulder gods had other plans, but I'd made plans to go up camping there with my wife that weekend anyway, and Stone's Throw was a wicked time if you can ever get out there. So came out and I wound up getting there the Friday night, played about a dozen or so holes of glowy, and almost called my shot for an ace on the shortened course. I stepped up, and we've been having ace runs all night, and I just said, this one's going in, and ripped it. And it was like, it wasn't a massive, it was like 120 or 140 foot hole or something. But I said, this one's going in, ripped it, and it hit center chains and chained out, which I thought was very rude. But so that was fun. That was a great round. Drakes were had. We had an awesome time the first night. Then I caddied for my buddy Jake Kerpel, who played the next day in the morning, and was probably the rudest caddy that one could imagine, much like the dynamic on the show, like that friend group. We just talked trash, and so I didn't care that I was caddying for him. I was also going to be roasting him the entire round. But it was going in both directions, and he had a great card, so I had a great time. And it was just, it's always a fun event, man. I guess it took a miracle performance from Carter to knock Oz off, or knock him down a peg. Love seeing you and James at the top, and actually Garrett Morgan, who's played a ton at Kelso lately, which has been great. Third MA1, Tobin losing a really hotly contested playoff that I was able to walk with him for an MA50, playing fantastic. It was a 3-person playoff. I know it's happened before, but I had never seen that in person before. And Tobin and the eventual winner Paul both made it out of the first hole, but Arthur did not. So they continued in a 2-man playoff, and Tobin ultimately came up just short, but not for lack of trying. Sarah Skates winning technically the highest non-age protected female division, which was FA2 at this tournament. There was a lot of intrigue, and it was great to see some players that I love playing good golf, even if I couldn't play myself. So it was really awesome. Sean, if you have any thoughts you wanted to add on Stone's Throw, over to you.
Kudos to Carter for taking down Oz. As we've mentioned on the show before, Oz has won more than half of the Ontario tournaments that he has played this year and is well on his way to becoming the winningest Ontario disc golfer. It's great to see that the division is going to make it as hard as possible for him to take that title away from Marty. Also want to say it was a double Pengelly weekend with Arthur Pengelly and Don Pengelly, both I think it's Pengelly, not Pengelly, but we'll go with that. Another power couple in Ontario disc golf, this one in age protected. Shout out to Dawn over in FA 40. This 20-year veteran plays a mix of FA 50 and FA 40, and she has been absolutely crushing it in this division this year. So far in 2024, she has won 11 of 15 events that she has played. She has only placed outside of the top two one single time, and that was at the Inn of a Rip when she played FA 1. This isn't even the only event that we are going to mention of hers on this show. So she did absolutely fantastic. So shout out to her. And shout out to Robbie for basically almost having the greatest throw-in of all time, slightly edging out James Conrad's holy shot, but unfortunately it was not quite to be. And, you know, you almost got that major disc release and change the fortunes of a disc company or something like that forever.
You know,
but
the
shout out
golf
to you,
gods had other plans for me.
Great effort. And well done, James.
Yeah, shout out James. It was great playing with him in the second round, and can't wait for more battles with him in the future because he just keeps getting better. So I'm gonna have to up my game to keep up with him. But let's move on to our next tournament in our recap. With the beautiful changing colors of the leaves, it's the best time of year to be in Huntsville, Ontario, and we were absolutely blessed with an incredible weekend of weather for the 2024 Ontario Provincial Disc Golf Championships. This year's event saw 231 players across 21 divisions, competing on 3 great courses: Wolf Tracks, Limberlost Links, and Huntsville Downs. In MPO, Thomas Gilbert was looking to defend his title against a strong field of 15 total players. It ended up being a runaway from the start, with Thomas having a 6-stroke lead after 1 and a 12-stroke lead after 2. He would struggle a bit in the final round at Huntsville Downs, but the lead he gained in the first 2 rounds would be enough, and Thomas took down his 2nd straight provincial title and 4th of his career. Thomas Hums shot the hot round on the final day to jump from 6th all the way up into a tie for 2nd with Cam Zanini, who round out the podium together. Over in FPO, Chantel Budinsky was looking for back-to-back provincial titles against the 7-person FPO field and got off to a great start, leading by 4 strokes after round 1. But in round 2, friend of the show, Rebecca Dawn, would shoot the hot round to go into Championship Sunday, trailing Chantel by only a single stroke, with Colleen McInnes sitting 2 strokes off the lead. Rebecca would struggle on Sunday and fall back to the leaders, but Colleen was able to make up her 2-stroke deficit and tie the lead going into the back 9. And after trading some bogey strokes, it was still tied up with 2 holes to play, where Colleen would take an unfortunate bogey to give Chantel the chance for the win on 18, where both would take a par, and Chantel Budinsky becomes your back-to-back FPO Ontario champion, with Colleen in 2nd and Alicia Hums in 3rd. In MP40, Justin Murphy goes wire to wire for a 7-stroke win, completing an amazing season where he goes a perfect 6-4-6 in MP40 tournaments. In FP40, Jane Logan took the win by 16 strokes, and in MP50, it was Brian Grant taking the win by 7 strokes. Over on the amateur side, in MA1, Cam Corvemaker went into the final round trailing by 5 strokes, but was able to pull off the come-from-behind win and win by 3 strokes with Matt Bootsma, Ethan Eckenstein, and Graham Drummond all in a tie for second place. Shout out to myself, 1 stroke behind them. Just got to slide that in there. In FA1, it was a tight battle the whole way through with at least 3 players within 1 stroke of the lead after both the first 2 rounds. But at the end, it was Stephanie Hall who took down a 2-stroke win over Helen Unger and Sarah Dawn, who took the tie for second place. And a quick little shout out here to the rest of our 2024 provincial champions. In MA40, Ian Canham wins by 7 strokes. Laura Weiss gets the win in FA40. Cam Collier wins FA50. Dawn Pengelly wins FA50. Vern Lepine wins MA60 in a playoff. The legend, the myth, the legend, Jane Anderson Renton wins in FA60 by 18 strokes and is still a perfect 19 for 19 in singles events this season. Still hasn't lost. In MA70, Edwin Galitz wins by 2 strokes. In FA70, Karen Kelly takes the win. MA2, Jeremy Brister takes it down by 3. Megan Donovan takes down FA2. Sergio Ricky Diaziana takes down MJ15 in a playoff. Brooklyn Okrafka took down FJ15. She averaged 917 rated, 83 above her player rating, and shot a score that would have been good enough to win in the MJ15 division. In MJ12, Alistair Robertson wins by 50 strokes and also had the lowest score of any junior at -23, with all juniors playing the same layout. So he could have played an MJ15 and taken, I believe it would have been like an 8-stroke win there. And finally, in MJ10, Nico Forbes takes down the win by a whopping 51 strokes. Shawnee G, let's throw it over to you, my friend. Let's hear. Oh, Galen, I see your finger up. Let's. What do you got?
Just quickly, because I was looking at this and I wanted to shout out the enormity of the achievement. Alistair would have won MJ15 by 13 strokes.
13.
That's nuts. Sean, over to you.
Crazy.
That is absolutely amazing. I will give a shout out to the FA50 division for having 11 competitors this year. That is more than there were at Canadian Nationals. It might be the most that division has ever had in Ontario, maybe Canada. I don't know. Dawn Pengelly continues her reign of terror in the FA50 division, and she was the only one to finish under par, beating the also always dominant Susan Jervis. Give a shout out to Gabby Vivar in FA50, who shot her second highest rated round ever in round 1, putting her in 3rd place for the round and seeing her on the lead card for round 2. Wanted to just highlight how awesome the competition was at this event overall. Going into the finals in round 3, there were 8 divisions where the top players were separated by 2 or fewer strokes. There was FA3 with 3 players, MA2 at 5 players, MA60 at 4 players, FA1 at 3, 2 of them were tied for first, MA1, 2 players, MP50, 2 players, MP40 at 2, and FPO with 3 players. There was so much great competition across the board. I was so glad I was able to see a little bit of all of it out there taking pictures. And as always, I want to give a shout out to all of the aces that were held or had during the event. In MPO, Abraham Neufeld snagged the 1 on hole 7 at Wolf Tracks, which is a 337-foot hole. In FPO, Jessica Goulet snagged an ace at Wolf Tracks 16, 238-foot shot in the woods. Emily Dawn bagged an ace on the 160-foot hole 5 at Wolf Tracks. But there's more. Matthew Ferris grabs an ace at Wolf Tracks hole 11, 183 foot. And lastly, Austin Hill in MJ15 also aced Wolf Track 16. I was a little surprised that there were no aces at Limberlost. And given that all of them were at Wolf Tracks, maybe that course is just a little bit too easy. And they need to toughen it up for next year. Robbie, how many aces
Got your
did
mouth,
you get
Sean.
this year?
How many aces did I get?
Yeah, how many did you get this year?
A big whopping 0, my friend.
That's too bad. It's very sad.
I know.
I'd be first at everything on this podcast.
Yeah, it'd be just awesome. 1, 2, 3 was 5 aces during the event. I hope there wasn't like an ace spot because it'd be like $1.50 left in it.
Yeah, I want to give a second shout out to the shout out that you gave to my buddy Austin Hill in MJ15. I was chatting with him and his dad after the round, and apparently it was a tree direction ace. I think it went long and hit a tree and bounced backwards from what it was described to me. Might have hit a little sideways and in from where they were standing. Not exactly sure, but it was definitely a tree direction ace. So a little bit of extra coolness there in the ace for Austin, competing in MJ15, and he's only 12 or 13, something like that. Crazy. But Galen, over to you. Let's hear some of your thoughts.
Yeah, Austin Hill, my arch nemesis, who stole co-host Robbie Holden as a caddy from me at Dreammaker, but it's okay. I showed him who was boss. Showed him who the best whatever is. Take that, Austin. He and Alistair are going to be coming for the Oz's and Thomas Gilberts of the world before too long, man. This is crazy.
I can't get to MP40 or MA40 or MP40, whichever one, fast enough. You're going to be kicking my butt.
That's a good point. I'll be safe from them for like 18 years at minimum, so that's great.
You say as an MA40 player, I am looking forward to getting to MA50 next year because this is a murderer's division. It is so tough.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree in the slightest. But yeah, no, I'm glad that Robbie is not first on the podcast in aces because he seems to be first at everything else, ratings and choosing winners and all that stuff. I don't know where you're at, Sean, but I've got at least 1, maybe 2 this year, and I'm happy to be ahead of Robbie in something. Yeah, there we go. So combined, we have an infinite number more aces than Robbie, or an infinite factor more aces. Very importantly, for me, my thoughts, the entire top 4 of the FPO division and the winner in MPO, all past guests on Missed Mando, proving once again that the Missed Mando bump is real and coming on the show guarantees your success. So whether you're Gannon Burr, Kristen Tatar, whoever you are in the world, Elaine King, Ken Climo, Paul Macbeth, come on the show and your career and life will experience a resurgence. Keep Sean on speed dial. Don't give him your number. Call with it blocked, though. That would probably be bad for him to have.
3 of the top 5 in MPO are past guests as well, with Cam Zanini, T2, and Ezra Lockington in 5th. So the entire top 4 in FPO and 3 of the top 5 in MPO, the Missed Mando bump. It's a real thing.
That's just science.
It's just science.
Facts.
And if you really want to see a bump in your scores, the Missed Mando bump also applies to Missed Mando Mayhem, and it actually amplifies to a bigger degree. So come on out to our fun tournament that we're going to be throwing in a couple of weeks here. You are absolutely guaranteed to shoot at least 15 straight 1,000 rated rounds, maybe more. We'll see. But as far as the actual tournament goes, we're so far down a tangent at this point, I don't even know where we started. I wanted to shout out a couple of people. Thomas Hums and Alicia Hums, for Thomas, 2nd in MPO, Alicia 3rd in FPO. Thomas shot a -10 at Huntsville Downs for a 10:35 rated round. Just absolutely crazy. It's fun watching people grow and develop. When I first met Thomas in Sudbury, he was like, what he told me, he's like, yeah, I'm just sort of like trying to make the transition from MA1 to MPO. And that was not that long ago. He is now one of the premier MPO players in this province. And I actually met Alicia the same weekend. She was playing, I think I was MA3 that weekend or MA2. No, she's playing MA2 and like was one of the better players in the division, if I remember correctly. And loved them then and have loved seeing their success ever since. Want to shout out Colleen for a hard-fought second. Colleen McInnes in FPO, an amazing fight against Chantel. Another one from the home course here, Dennis Barnes from Bronte Creek in second at MA40, including a scorching 976. Jane Anderson Renton taking down FA60 by a cool 18 strokes. Jeremy Brister, who I am now going to call with love a sandbagger, who is deservingly moving up to MA1 next year after shredding MA2 and leaving
into his face, so don't worry.
Leaving the wrecked corpses of MA2 players in his wake. James Atkinson with a great performance in third. I think he cooled off from his back-to-back 1,000 rated rounds to like somewhere in the 940s for the event average. So thanks, James, for taking it easy on us. Mike Pelly in fifth. Both of those, James in third, Pelly in fifth. That's a division of 39. Like, that is not nothing there. Little Ricky taking down first in MJ15 in a playoff. I love that. Also want to shout out my friend Alex Michelin, who finished tied first in MJ15 after the first round, and a great tournament from him as well. Alistair, one more time, averaging 925, including a 972 rated round. That is just insane. Like I was saying, like, look out Chris Oz, look out Thomas Gilbert, look out, I don't know, pick your player from Ontario, Marty Hendel. These kids are coming for you, and Alistair is coming for you. It's not going to be very long before he's in that rear mirror at all. So I just absolutely loved watching this event. It's one of those events where like everybody you love is playing, and it was kind of sad for me that I couldn't be there, but I was really happy to see the great performances from people that I know and care about, and all the fun content that came out of it. If anybody has anything to add, I'm happy to hear it. Otherwise, we can hop into a picks recap, boys. All right. So we went with our power couple picks for this event. So I had Chris Brown and Colleen McInnes. Sean had Tom and Alicia Hums, and Rob had Chris Toe and Alex Paletto. So that broke down thusly. In MPO, we had Chris Brown tied 7, Thomas Hums in second, and Chris in fourth. In FPO, we had Colleen McInnes in second, Alicia in third, and Alex Paletto in fifth. So for me, with Chris Brown and Colleen, that was an average of about 4.5. About 4.5. It was exactly 4.5. Math is a precise tool. I don't know why I'm pretending it's not. Sean with Tom and Alicia Hums averaged a scorching 2.5 to choose within the parameters of a power couple and to finish with an average podium pick. Hell yeah. And Robbie with Chris, I never know if I'm supposed to say Toe or Tao, and we don't know each other well. So I'm going to say Toe the last time and say Chris Tao this time. Finished in fourth, cover all my bases, and Alex Paletto in fifth. Robbie also averaged 4.5. So
I learned on the weekend that apparently it is Chris Tao, like Gordie Howe, but with a T.
I wonder what the disc golf version of a Gordie Howe hat trick would be. In hockey, if you have a Gordie Howe hat trick, that is a goal, an assist, and a fight. So on the course, what is that? Like cursing out a missed putt, an ace, and
courtesy violation.
I was thinking two good things and one crazy thing, but that works too. But speaking of the great disc golf that was played at Provincials, fellas, why don't we throw over to our first feature interview, which will be with Miss Chantel Budinsky, who won over in FPO. Let's get to that now. Be right back on Miss Mando.
Since our next guest last joined the show, she's collected wins at the Foxwood Open, the Chainlink Conservation Series at Albion Hills, and the Greater Niagara Fall Classic, with a handful of top 10 finishes, including 9th place at the Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championship, which isn't technically a major, but in my opinion, it should be, and that would be her highest finish ever at a major, if it was considered a major. She's now coming off her second straight Ontario Provincial Championship win this past weekend in Huntsville. It's a pleasure to welcome back to the Miss Mando podcast, Chantel Budinsky. Chantel, thanks for joining us.
And thank you for having me.
Of course, it is our pleasure. And first off, like I said, congrats again on your win this past weekend at Provincials. This year was a much tighter battle than 2023, with you taking down the win by 1 stroke this time around. Take us through how you were feeling through the event as the field kept the pressure on and what it took to be able to take it down.
Sure. Okay, so I actually started this weekend with a knee injury, and it did not get better. So every day it just felt a little bit worse and played a little bit worse. I was just trying to finish my last tournament of the season, and I somehow held on to it by one stroke.
That is, I saw you out there. You were limping a fair bit. Taking it down while injured is even more impressive, especially given the length of a couple of the courses and the terrain at Wolf Tracks. How are you feeling today? Have you recovered in so much as, are you just basically just sort of gimping around still?
Yeah, still limping everywhere. It's only been a couple days. I haven't seen a doctor yet, and I'm back at work, and we just bought a bunch of furniture, so we've been hauling stuff. It's not the rest that I need, but I'm gonna make it, I think.
Well, absolutely, you should milk it with Chris, 110%.
Oh, I
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And like, not the courses that you necessarily want to be playing with an injury to your lower body either. Like
No.
trekking around Wolf Tracks with an injured knee does not sound like a good time.
No, it was pretty tough, but it was so beautiful that it made it worth it.
Oh my God. Yeah, I was there for the Battle of the Alphas, like whatever it was, 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's such a nice course in the fall. Have you played tournaments at Wolf Tracks before, Huntsville Downs, or were you coming in fairly blind here? Like, how did you like it? Was it something that you've had the opportunity to play before, or is this sort of like on one knee, hobbling around and playing it blind and like suck at the rest of Ontario?
Yeah. I haven't seen the courses before. We came straight from Throw Pink, and I took 2 days off, and then I got my first practice round on Wednesday at Wolf Tracks, and I absolutely loved it. Like, immediately, it was just one of my favorite courses in Canada. And then I got the practice round in on Thursday at Huntsville Downs, and that was also beautiful, but it's a long bomber course, and I was having a hard time with it. But Wolf Tracks definitely, like, my favorite course in Canada, I think.
Favorite in Canada?
I
Wow.
think so.
That is high praise. Galen, I think it is your favorite course in Ontario. Is that, if I'm remembering correct?
You are, agreed, 100%. And I've not played many courses outside of Ontario. I've played like one in BC, a couple in Quebec, a couple in Nova Scotia. But yeah, I mean, with my limited outside of Ontario experience, also my favorite course in Canada. I totally agree. It is so much fun, and it is at its best in the fall.
That's pretty amazing. So let's talk round 3 at Provincials. You and Colleen McInnes were in quite the battle coming into that final round. I think the lead changed hands, or you were like one stroke away from each other on like 15 of the 18 holes, and it was just like tied, and then like 2 point swing, and then it's back, and then like it was really, really exciting. Were you keeping track of the scores during that round to see how the horse race was sort of going, or were you just out there just full send every hole, and at 17 you kind of check scores and see where things are at? What's your sort of course score management strategy?
I didn't know the scores the whole time until hole 18, Chris told me. I was like I thought that Colleen had it. I was like, okay, I'm getting through this round with an injury, so I'm okay if I was even third or second. Like, I thought that she had it. And then at hole 18, Chris is like, okay, just par. I'm like, just par? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay. So I parred it, and then I took it down, and I was so surprised. I definitely thought she had a couple strokes on me, just with the way that I was feeling and how I was playing. I was not playing very well.
That's pretty impressive. It reminds me of like James Proctor at MVP, where it was down to that last shot, and he asked Ali Smith, what happens if I make this? She's like, you win. And then he nails it. I'm a score checker. I don't do well, so maybe I shouldn't be, but it's pretty impressive that you basically thought you were not in it to win it for like, I guess, most of the round, but you were absolutely in it. Like it was tied for a solid chunk of that last round. But I mean, it seems to me that means you have a good strategy for playing the course, and it worked.
Yeah, I was just trying to stay out of OB, which I did an okay job. It was mostly my upshots and my putting, because anything that was like little movements where I needed to use my knee, I just couldn't. It was weird because off the tee I was good, which was very strange. But anything off the tee, it was a struggle. So I was just trying to get it close to the basket.
And given how strong a putter you are, that's the part of the game that you're most known for. I imagine that was quite frustrating.
It was really frustrating. I had a couple back and forth putts, so a couple birdogies. That was really frustrating. And I don't think I made a putt outside of 15 feet the whole day until hole maybe 16. Like I airballed every single putt to the right because I wasn't getting the full like extension at the end, and it was just, I didn't even know what to do. And then I started straddle putting and it was a little bit better, but luckily I made like my last 3 putts because I needed to.
No, I know what you mean. Like Sean, I'm not very good at this whole disc golf thing, despite all the pieces of plastic I've purchased, but I'm also dealing with like my first ever disc golf related injury in my shoulder, and having to like find ways to compensate when I'm playing for the thing that I'm normally good at, which is long bombing. And I can't do that now. Like I can't throw more than like I say long bombing, like I mean for MA2. Like
okay.
I can't throw that far. But if I can throw like 350 to 370 consistently, now I can throw like 270, 250 consistently. This has been weird to like not have the thing that you're good at, and super frustrating. So
yeah,
I understand a little bit of that. I hope your shoulder feels better soon. Or sorry, my shoulder, I guess. I hope your knee feels better soon. Oh my gosh. So we were sort of talking about some of the things that you're good at, you're known for. Now that we're finally at the end here of the Pro Tour season officially, what are your thoughts on how the whole season went for you? And is there anything you want to work on, whether it's an area of strength you want to improve, or something that you think this wasn't quite where it wanted to be this year, I want to work on it for next year?
Yeah, I mean, I always want my putting to get better. It would be great to be at the very top, because usually I'm like top 10 at most events for putting, but I would like it to be better just because, I don't know, it's the best thing that I'm at the thing I'm the best at, so I want it to be the best. But also, my tee to green got a lot better this year, which is nice because I'm usually at the bottom for that, so I would like to keep improving that. I think once I just get my tee to green, then I can start contending more and I can start getting some top 10s more often. And I feel like that's kind of what happened by the end of the season. If I have a strong enough game plan, confident off the tee, then I can get there and I should make most of my putts like usual.
I mentioned in the intro, we haven't had you on in a little while. I think it was like March or April that we had you on somewhere at the start of the season. So you played lots of tournaments throughout, some in Ontario. You were out on the tour, of course, playing a bunch of events there. What were some of the events that you enjoyed the most this season, or maybe that you were most proud of how you played during the tournament?
Okay, I don't remember. It must have been after US Women's that we chatted. Yeah. So I probably already said that US Women's is like my favorite event of the year, just because it's awesome to see how many women are there playing at this course, and it's just a great event and I love it and I hope to do it for many years. But other than that, I always enjoy Idlewild. It's like an amazing course. I think I enjoy it so much because you don't have to throw far, and you just have to hit your landing zones and make your putts, and that's why that's one of my favorite courses now on tour, because we don't really get that very often. It's a lot of long bomber courses, and I struggle with those.
Are there any particular event where you think you like surprised yourself with your play at all? Did you exceed expectations anywhere, or play better at a course that maybe you thought might challenge you a little bit?
At Throw Pink, I always had such a hard time there, and me and Chris just made a really good game plan, and I've been so much more confident off the tee, and I feel like that is like the number one thing. You have to be confident off the tee at Winthrop. So that was really nice to actually go under par there, because I didn't think that was a possibility for me, but I did it.
Well, and you executed the game plan and were all over coverage, all over chase card throughout the entire event. So we got to see lots of you out there, which, we always love back here on Missed Mando in Ontario.
Well, thank you for watching and supporting me the whole time. It was awesome to see everybody's messages all weekend.
How was it? Was this your most sort of on coverage event?
I think so.
Besides, so AFDO would have been probably your most coverage.
Yes.
Because it had full DGN that year. Would this be sort of second most coverage?
I think so. I think I had a little bit of coverage. Well, at Waco, I had the first round, but they didn't cover much because I didn't play very well. But yeah, I think this was probably the most I was on since AFDO.
How do you... Are you comfortable on coverage? I think we've talked about it in the past, and on last time you were on the show. But how did it feel to have the cameras? It's
always nerve-wracking because they're just right in your face the whole time. But it's easier when you're on chase card because they only show like your good shots. Usually. So I was just so happy to be on chase card every day. And on hole 18, Chris was like, he would tell me exactly what to do. He's like, okay, so if you birdie, you'll be a lead card. If you par, then you're good with chase card. I was like, okay, I think I'm just going to lay it up and take an easy par and then just stay on top of chase card. And it worked out all weekend.
And because you finished tied, if I remember right.
Yes, tied for ninth.
Yeah. And then the way tiebreakers are settled and such in the rules, so you were top of chase.
Oh, yes. For the last round, I was tied for fourth with Valerie, but she shot the hot round, so she got the lead card, and it was perfect.
It worked out just fine.
It did.
How do you like playing Winthrop?
Well, I really liked it this year.
Sure.
It was still very stressful. Like every shot just means a lot, but I was just confident that I could do the shot, and it worked out. My putting was amazing somehow because I haven't been practicing. But yeah, it was an awesome weekend.
Yeah, I bet. And looking ahead to sort of next year, are you thinking about playing a similar number of events? Do you think you might do the West Coast Swing with Champions Cup in California, Europe? Like, are we looking at a similar number of events, about the same? Where's our head at on that?
Yeah, so I'm probably going to do the same amount of tournaments. I hope to get to Europe for Worlds and maybe the event after it. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but we might do that because it's in driving distance. I don't know if we're going to do the West Coast Swing. That's still up in the air. I'm leaning more towards no, but you never know. I guess we'll see.
Pretty big commitment.
Yes.
So...
Yeah, and you have to fly, and then you have to rent, and it's just really expensive. So,
have you played Stockton before?
No, I've never been out that way.
That'd be pretty cool. That plus Portland Open being Elite Plus.
Yes, yeah, I'd be more interested in playing that course than the other one.
Potentially a look ahead to a future World Championship too, because I think I heard that Portland is working on a bid for 2026 Worlds to be hosted at the golf courses there and Milo MacGyver, which would be pretty cool. So maybe some year in advance practice for 2026 Worlds as well while you're out there. But one thing I wanted to ask you about was, we of course know that you are sponsored by Prodigy Discs. Is this a contract year for you with Prodigy? You're pretty much the FPO face of Prodigy, I'd say, and they seem to regularly post about your achievements on tour, which is obviously great to see. And of course, you have your Tour Series F3 this year. Do you know if you'll be staying on with them yet? What's that whole situation like right now?
Yep, so I signed a 2-year contract at the beginning of this year, so I still have another year with them.
Nice. Awesome. Anything in the work for what you might see next year for any sort of discs or anything like that, or is that just too far ahead at this point?
I think it's too far ahead. We haven't started talking about it yet.
Sorry about that. Sorry. Let's just jump back to.
I was like, I swear Sean was going to go next, and you.
Sorry, I was in the show notes.
Hey, you're good, buddy.
Let's jump back to provincials for a sec. Ontario native winning the provincial championship in your home province. How does that win compare to some of your other higher profile wins? Something like Spring Fling 2020, AFDO. Where does this rank in terms of your multitude of wins?
Oh gosh, well, I feel like AFDO is just always going to be number one.
Sure, fair.
I guess it's pretty high. I haven't really thought about it much yet. I feel like I usually link like how happy I am with how I played. So I feel like I didn't play very well this weekend. So I don't know. I'm proud that I won, but I'm having a hard time being proud of how I played. So, but I'm still really happy that I'm like 2-time provincial champion. That would be awesome if I could just keep going, keep getting that win. But yeah, that's kind of what I think about. Like I just had played at is it Greater Niagara Fall Classic. I played my second highest rated tournament there.
Wow.
And it was only a B tier, but like that sticks in my head because I just played so well. Yeah.
no, totally. I don't know. I thought you were going to say the 2020 FA2 win at Spring Fling, but I guess AFDO, a little bit higher profile. That makes sense. So since we had you on last, we have started a bit of a new tradition on the show. So before we let you go, we like to hit you with just a bit of a lightning round. So we'll ask you a question, and like thoughtful answers need not apply. Don't do any thinking, just quick answers, whatever comes to your mind first, if that is cool with you.
Yeah, sounds great.
Awesome. So first question is, what is your favorite course?
Oh no, I can't. Wolf Tracks. We'll just say it.
Nice. Perfect. What's the hardest course you've ever played?
Oh my gosh. Well, this year, Ivy Hills. It's so bad.
How was Ivy Hills? It looked monstrous on coverage.
It was, and I don't know what it is about open bomber courses. Like, I just have a really hard time with it. I need like a line to hit or something.
And preferably maybe less OB.
Yes.
Everywhere.
Yeah, it was a lot of OB, so it was a little windy, and all your plans went down the drain.
Next question. If build your ideal card to play with. Disc golfers, non-disc golfers, past pros, current pros. If you want to go out for the best round, who do you want to play with?
Oh, I always have such a hard time with this question.
Good.
I think it's just gotta be close friends. Like, that's who I just enjoy playing with. So Chris, Kat Johnson, Cody Johnson's fun to play with too. Who else? I don't know.
Are there any pros out there, like non Kat Johnson pros out there? Not that she isn't enough, but other, like on the tour that you haven't had a chance to play with and be like, it'd be really fun to play with that person.
I feel like I've hit almost everyone. I just finished because I finally got to play with Paige Pierce at D-Glow. And then I just played with Alexis at Throw Pink and Missy as well. So I think those were the 3 people that I haven't played with, and I finally got to play with them. I will say Paige is really funny to play with. She's hilarious.
How so?
I don't know. She's just funny the way she the things she says, like after she throws, are just, I don't know, she's witty and I like her.
I know for sure I'd love to see a Paige Pierce appearance in one of your YouTube videos someday and see the behind the scenes of you two out on the course. That would be fun.
Who's buying lunch in that round?
Yeah.
Probably me.
So, one sport to play or watch other than disc golf. What are you choosing?
Is fishing a sport?
I mean, yeah.
It is. You can watch Bob.
It's televised on. It's televised. That makes.
I'd go fishing if I had to do a different thing.
Nice.
I dig that. Now getting us back on track, sticking with the lightning round, not tangenting all over the place like we've been doing. If you could have any superpower, what would that be?
Ooh. I'm not good at lightning rounds. I think teleportation.
Nice. I'm with you on that one, to be honest.
I would abuse that just for my discs, to be honest. If I could teleport discs from place to place, greatest superpower of all time.
Yeah, or like before it's in the water, you run and, teleport, grab it before it's in the water. That would be helpful.
Perfect. Yeah. If you could have dinner with somebody alive or not, who would it be?
Probably my dad.
Love it.
And apparently we have a number of food-related questions on our list. So you've done a number of road trips on tour. You're hungry. You see a sign in the distance. It's time to get some food. Which sign are you hoping to see coming up at the next rest stop?
Ooh, it depends, because if I won a tournament, Burger King, because we like to get celebratory Whoppers. If we're going for cheap, probably Taco Bell. But also I don't know if they have it, I don't think they have it in the States, but East Side Mario's. We love East Side Mario's.
Hey, bada boom, bada bing.
Fantastic answers. Yeah, give me some bada boomers any night, dude. What song, whether it's on a road trip or like you're getting geared up for a round, what song, when you turn it on, makes you want to just turn the volume up to max, sing your heart out, vibes are good? Top choice.
Oh, I don't know. That's hard to pick. I just had my iPod. I've had it for so long, since grade school almost, and it just got stolen. Oh, there's so many good songs on there, but probably something from there that I can't even think of now because it's gone forever.
I didn't know people still had iPods. I love that.
I had an iPod. It was iPod Nano. Is that what it was? Yeah.
I feel the same way. I lost a phone this summer that I had all my songs digitally downloaded to. I'm not the tech savviest guy, so I didn't have them saved anywhere. I just lost my 500 favorite songs and I got to get them back one by one.
I wouldn't even be able to tell you half of them because they were just old, random, awesome songs.
I can still picture to this day the old iPod Nano commercial with the silhouettes dancing, and you can see the white headphones leaning up to them. I can still picture that so vividly in my head. You just sparked something in my brain there.
I have Chantel, thank song from that commercial on a playlist.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Future Cast, I believe it was called. Channel Surfing. Solid track.
Going a little trip down nostalgia lane right now. But Chantel, thank you so much for joining us again. Before we let you go, do you have any shout outs that you would like to give or any final comments? The floor is all yours.
Of course. So obviously, thank you so much for Prodigy Discs. I wouldn't be here without them. They support me all throughout the year, and I love my bag. That's all I have to say. But also thank you to Disc Republic, Drive Bags, and the Goat Towel. Best towel. Yes. So thank you to my sponsors.
Any discount codes or any way that people can support you?
Yeah. So if you go on discrepublic.ca and use code Miss Frisbees, that helps me a lot.
Amazing. Well, Chantel, thank you so much once again for coming back on the show. One of only a very few repeat guests that we've had so far, and we're absolutely honored to have you back on. So thank you so much once again, and we will be right back on Missed Mando. Thank you once again to Chantel for coming on and joining us. Another repeat guest here on the show, and we are so honored to have her back. Congrats again for taking down another provincial title. As always, gents, a great time having Chantel on the show. Absolutely. I was expecting some sort of words there, but I'm not going to get any. So I'm just gonna keep this train a chugging, as I like to say, here on Missed Mando, and we are gonna send it over now to our second featured interview. We are very happy to bring on the MPO champion from 2024 Ontario Provincials, Thomas Gilbert. We'll be right back with Thomas on Missed Mando. We're excited to welcome back our very first three-time guest to the show. He last joined us right before the World Championships, where he might not have had the results he would have liked in the tournament, but he was able to finish fourth place in both the long drive and the skill shot competitions. Since then, he won his second career Canadian National Championship, and this past weekend, he was able to win his second straight Ontario Provincial Championship, his fourth provincial title of his career. It's a pleasure to welcome back to the Missed Mando podcast, Thomas Gilbert. Thomas, thanks so much for joining us, man.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I liked how long that intro of accolades was.
Oh, I always got to go all out when we bring out the big guns here on Missed Mando. And first off, congrats again on the win last weekend at Provincials. And let's start there. Take us through how you were feeling leading into the event and what it took to take it down for a second straight year. Were you familiar with the courses there? Had you played the courses in Huntsville before?
Yeah, I had played Wolf Tracks, I think 2 falls ago, so about 2 years ago the same time, and played a round on the Reds and a round on the Blues and had a blast. I loved that course ever since I played it back then, and have been looking for the good opportunity to get back out there, so it was super fun to go back out there and see Wolf Tracks, help set up the Downs course a little bit with Spencer just before they opened up for practice on Thursday. And yeah, had a blast there too. Wish I had played there a little bit better in the tournament, but overall got the job done.
One thing, now that you mention playing in Huntsville Downs in the tournament, I do have a question for you. I was standing underneath the ledge on hole 15 when your group came through, and gave you. I couldn't see exactly where your disc was, where it landed, because I was standing in the parking lot. So I came up, gave you a fist bump, and you said, "I'm on the green," and I was trying to lay up. So are you telling me that you were trying to lay up and accidentally threw 600 feet onto a golf green? What the heck happened there?
I wish you could tell me. I mean, I threw my second most overstable distance driver, and I threw it on a hyzer at the right side, thinking, I was like, okay, yeah, they'll go out there, maybe get flat at the beginning, but then it'll have enough stability to dump and be short left of the green. And I don't know, just threw it a little bit extra hard, I guess, and flipped up and didn't even turn. It just went straight for a long time and got a forward skip right onto the edge of the green about a foot too far.
And what is that most overstable driver? Knowing that you're a Thought Space Pro, I'm picturing one of those initial Aura synapses, but I don't know. What was it?
That would have been a better option. But I threw my pop top 4-time Macbeth Destroyer. That I thought was really overstable, but maybe not so much.
Well, you did mention that you wish you had played a little bit better there during the tournament, but where you did play really darn well was over at Wolf Tracks, getting a massive lead through the first 2 rounds. I think it was 6 strokes after the first round, 12 strokes after round 2. So how are you feeling about your game at Wolf Tracks? Obviously, you mentioned that you love the course, but do you feel that it matches your game really well? You're able to attack it really well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the course requires you to have pretty accurate placement shots, and especially I feel like most of the tighter gaps were forehand lines, which I feel really confident about hitting my like forehand lines really accurately, especially in that like 375 and like below range, which I feel like they all pretty much were. And so yeah, I felt super confident threading the gaps in the woods, and then the relatively like more open holes, I was able to kind of just throw some like stock hyzers and like flat to hyzer type shots with my backhand that got me in good positions to score really well in the course.
So we've got the two courses that you played. You did 2 rounds at Wolf Tracks and 1 round at Huntsville Downs, the golf course. What were your strategies coming in? I mean, it clearly worked.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. So how did you approach these 2 very different courses?
I kind of just developed a like decent little game plan for both of them on Thursday before the tournament. When played a single practice round at each of them, and I guess I kind of overestimated what I would need to do to be in the lead, because I was kind of thinking, okay, like 3 rounds in the double digits and I should probably be able to walk away with this thing, no worries. And so coming out firing, shooting 12 down round 1, was very happy with that. I'm honestly a bit surprised to be in the lead by 6, and was also kind of expecting a bit more of a bounce back from the field round 2. Including myself, I needed to kind of bounce back pretty hard after my front 9, because I was having a pretty slow start myself, but was able to shoot 8 under on the back 9 to really pull back that double digit round again. Yeah.
Heck yeah. And how do you like Wolf Tracks versus some of the other courses that you've played? We just had Chantel Budinsky on, and she was saying that it was her favorite in Canada. It's mine too, but I don't have the perspective, obviously, of a touring pro that's played courses of the caliber and range that you have.
Right.
You know, for me, it's the highlight of my year. How does that stack up to some of those courses that you're seeing as you're traveling through the States and Canada? And how does it stack up?
Yeah, really, really good. I mean, I would say it's like one of my favorite courses in Ontario now, like with for absolutely reassured this week that in terms of enjoyment of playing the course, it's absolutely at one of the top courses probably that I play in the world. Like the actual enjoyment of the shots and the lines and the atmosphere and the scenery that they have, especially in like mid-October, is just so beautiful, with all the like leaves changing color and the rolling hills and the mix of open and wooded that feels 100% like natural. Like there's not a single part of that course that like feels like it's been even touched by any kind of like man-made different attractions or landscapes. So it's like really raw and natural feeling, and I think that makes it feel extra special. That course is just so much fun and so pretty that it's hard to not like have a blast out there while playing.
Totally. Yeah, I think it was a 1043 rated round. So yeah, seemed to work for you. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
I couldn't agree more though. I was staying at Limberlost a few weeks back and playing at Wolf Tracks for Battle of the Alphas, and it was just at the start of the leaves changing, but I was like, it doesn't get any better, especially in the fall. That course and staying up there, it's like, come on.
It's so magical. Yeah, it felt awesome to be up there.
It may not have been Wolf Tracks, but when I saw your video before the tournament from hole 15 at Huntsville Downs with the beautiful changing colors in the background, that's when I really started to get excited for the weekend. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. So thanks for the hype up, Thomas. But as we mentioned in your intro, you were also able to win your second career national title this year out in BC, winning by an impressive 9 strokes over Casey Hannemeyer. Do you feel the courses out there played for that event really suited your game? I haven't, unfortunately, still haven't played any courses in BC yet, so I'm not very familiar with them. How did you feel about the courses in that event?
Yeah, actually, it wildly enough feels very similar to Provincials in the way that they had like this really amazing, like more wooded type course with the Clearwater ski hill. And it had a good mix of open holes that were more on the ski run itself. So like some pretty awesome like open bomber type shots. And then they had like a bunch of holes on like early in the front nine and early in the or kind of like the midsection on the back nine that were completely in the woods and felt like such natural disc golf holes. And then they had a temporary golf course set up as well, and that played honestly very similar to the style of golf that I played at Huntsville Downs. Maybe a little bit less elevation change as Huntsville Downs, but like a similar style to like the length of the par fours and length of the par threes, and kind of like similar challenge to the shot shapes at both courses. So it was awesome. I enjoyed playing those events so much, and I always love playing that kind of style of disc golf too, because it's a really refreshing style as compared to the super punishing difficulty of tour courses.
One thing I kind of want to quickly follow up with off of that, more in a broad scale, does not necessarily with either of these two tournaments. You're mostly known, I wouldn't say mostly known, but you're well known as obviously a elite distance thrower, one of the farthest throwers in the world. But where do you prefer to play disc golf? Do you prefer to be more in the woods and shredding tight little wooded lines, or do you like being more out in the open where you can really let that arm show off?
I prefer the woods for sure. I think it's way more fun. It's way more rewarding. Like you kind of get that fulfillment from discs flying through like shapes and gaps that you envision. And I think that's like what really hooks me. Like throwing a 500-foot hyzer like out into the sky and then watching it land and like just hoping that it doesn't skip OB is pretty boring. But I think shaping a line in the woods, and I think my favorite courses is the ones that have that perfect balance of like you get a bunch of holes in the open, you get like in mixed open, like not just completely wide open, but similar to Wolf Tracks and the ski hill. It's like you kind of have some sides to the fairways, like with light trees, but you're not just in a complete open fairway and just trucking with lines everywhere. I think, Wolf Tracks, the ski hill, my favorite course in the world is Maple Hill, and I think they do an absolute fantastic job at creating a perfect balance of like wooded, open, and semi-wooded holes that just make that property immaculate.
Yeah, we just had Gabe on from Project 15. At this point, I think it was a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months back. And we were talking about this, about like telling the story of a course or of a round, and how like those open shots, for me to really enjoy them, as much as it's fun to throw a disc far, like it's more fun when they feel earned. When you're like, I chopped my way through the woods, I've been hitting these lines, I've been doing great, and finally I can let the arm open up a little bit.
Yes,
like
sure.
I feel like I value that more like at a course like Wolf Tracks, where I've been trying to hit lines all day, versus like a golf course where it's like you said, like throwing for me, it's more like a 300-foot hyzer and hoping it doesn't skip over me. Like that's not exciting, but it's kind of exciting if you've been in the woods before it.
Yeah, definitely.
So with the Pro Tour season is now officially over for 2024. It feels kind of weird to say that.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no tournament next week on DGN. What's going on? What am I going to do with my weekends? I guess I'll have to actually go play. So what are your thoughts on how your season went, on the whole? Like you played 5 Canadian A tiers and you won 4 of them. So you won. There were only 11 in Canada and you won 4 of them. That's pretty amazing.
For sure.
And is there anything that you're sort of looking to focus on in the off season? Any part of your game specifically?
Yeah, I think it's going to probably continue on a little bit from like the last season. I still feel like I have a lot of room to improve my backhand accuracy. I think that's still the biggest part of my game that I'm losing strokes on, is having just backhand shots that leak. off the fairway because I have so much power that when I am a little bit off in my accuracy, they go way off. And so a big part of that is just learning how to consistently throw my backhands exactly where I want them to. I think there's definitely a few things in my form that I am really working hard on to develop that consistency. And I've been able to pinpoint a bunch of those. And so it's just going to be working and drilling that into the form throughout the off season, because I definitely have glimpses of it where like I feel good for like even a couple weeks of really having that kind of feeling of good throws locked into my muscle memory. But I feel when the pressure is applied, especially on tour, where any kind of misthrow or the tiniest bit of misrelease is going to be straight out of bounds. And so it's also nice to kind of play Canadian events where you're not going to be quite as punished so often, where I can really throw up like a slightly off shot, be able to scramble, get a par, and still maintain my confidence of throwing good but successful backhands throughout the round without getting frustrated because I was off by a couple feet and now I'm taking a double bogey. So that's the biggest thing I'm going to be working on. I actually will be going back up to Laurentian in Sudbury in January, and I'll be doing a semester up there until the end of April. So I think I only have chess.com planned on my tour schedule up until I am done my final exams at Laurentian, and that is a-okay with me. I don't really mind missing the Texas Swing and Music City Open, and then I'll be back on the tour for Champions Cup.
That is very cool. So I guess you're not going to pull the true Ontarian move and live your snowbird life and play some events in the southern U.S. I love hearing that you're doing some studying. Is there? I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you're open to sharing, what are you going to be studying this winter? Very cool to see somebody as good at disc golf as you are still putting attention into learning and getting better outside of the sport too.
Yeah, for sure. I think that time frame is also like a great opportunity to continue to work on finishing up that degree as well. Because I did just over 2 years of my degree for. I was in sports and physical education with a concurrent education degree at the time, and I'm moving to add in a couple more courses and upgrade that to kinesiology and finish out my degree in kinesiology with concurrent education.
Very cool. Is that the most times that you've said courses and not been talking about disc golf in a while?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. In a long time.
So looking ahead to next year, Thomas, are you, obviously there'll be a bit of a schedule change at the start of the year for you. But then once your final exams are done, are you thinking about playing a similar number of Pro Tour events as this year with Champions Cup out in California? Are you going to be out on the West Coast at all? Going back to Europe at all? What's in the plans for 2025?
Yeah, so I do plan on playing Champions Cup and as well, I believe, the Northwest Disc Golf Championship, I think is what they're calling it, which is like the combined Portland Open Beaver State Flame tournament. So I plan on playing that one for sure. I don't know. I think maybe Cascade Challenge might be a Pro Tour next year or something like that. And I think I'll probably be playing that one as well on the West Coast, just finishing up that stretch from Champions Cup up to the Northwest Disc Golf Championship. And I'm hoping to play some A tiers up in BC again. I really enjoyed playing BC Open and
Tournament Capital
Open as well. Yeah, 3-time defending champion.
Hell yeah.
There. And so I've heard from the TD that they're most likely going to be pushing the tournament back until July. Which will unfortunately overlap right on top of the European majors. So I'm not sure 100% yet if I will be able to do Tournament Capital Open again, but definitely hoping there's some other Canadian A tiers that I can play, because I think playing those A tiers and like other events. Like I played like a B tier down in Florida that I was able to win, and I think all those A tiers and the B tier, I think like made up almost like 2/3 to 3/4 of my total career earnings for the season. So
wow.
Yeah, the tour doesn't pay like it used to in terms of cashing, because it's just so much more difficult to cash in the pro tour nowadays. So I think I'll just stick to my favorites and then see how it goes on tour after I get those confidence boosts from all those A tier wins.
Do you think you're going to try and string together a bunch more of these A tier US events next year?
Yeah, potentially. I think as well. Like, I think the best part about A tiers for me that I enjoy so much is that you can go and play on some absolute amazing courses. Like, there's so many good courses across the states, like that have phenomenal courses that they only can really play for A tiers, because the pro tour, for logistical reasons and other implications, like can't host events at those types of courses, but they're still amazing, beautiful, and fun courses, and usually a little more scoreable too. So I always enjoy that, and I think I will be kind of searching out some of those types of A tiers a little bit more so next year.
So changing topics. So from what I can tell, this is you're in a contract year with ThoughtSpace.
Mm-hmm.
How have you felt about your last 2 years with them? Have you signed an extension? Are you looking to sign an extension with them? Sort of, how's that going?
Yeah. No, the last 2 years have been like amazing with ThoughtSpace. They are a great company who have supported me like super, super well. They've been really good at working with me to try to get like a bunch of different custom series discs out, and working with me to create the Numa and releasing the Coalesce and a bunch of more really cool projects that they have going on. I think this year was a little bit tough for them, and as much as other disc golf companies, the market was slowed down a little bit, and everyone ramped up so quick, so fast, that now it's kind of reaching that slump where it's not just that exponential rocket growth, and they kind of have to scale back a little bit. And I know that like that caused some holdups with like manufacturing, so getting like the crux and the nuance out was something that was postponed quite a bit later than they were intending to. But I know that Aaron's working super hard to kind of get things going back on track and getting the popular molds out to the public and getting everyone happy again. So and I definitely am looking to continue to improve my relationship with ThoughtSpace and work with them more in the future, and expand like the opportunities that we have together in the future.
But nothing to announce just yet.
No, nothing crazy to announce yet. We are definitely in discussions though about extending, because that also relates to my work visa for the States.
Let us know when you want to do the exclusive announcement drop here on Mando.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that podcast with 103 subscribers. That's where I always look to drop all of my news. So yeah.
Very true.
Another bit of a hard right turn, but something we've been talking about amongst ourselves here for a while, and that came to fruition not that long ago, was that friend of the show and friend to be, Tobin Isaac, beat your record recently of the most sanctioned events in a year by a Canadian, which for me is hilarious, because he was talking to me in December or January about scaling back this year. Like, he was like, oh yeah, I played too many events last year. I got to take it easy. I don't know if I can keep doing this. And then he's at, 53 or something like that by now. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously it's kind of a bit of a like lighthearted question, but is it something that's significant to you to have had that record for a while? And, in a battle between you and Tobin, I don't know what Tobin's chances are like. Would you be looking to take that record back at some point in the future?
Oh man, I don't think so. I think that was in my absolute most hungry version of myself in disc golf, where I literally wanted to play anything and everything I could possibly play. I think my tournament selection process has gotten a little more dialed in since then, and so I won't just be going and playing like every single B tier and C tier that I can possibly find. And honestly, I didn't even realize that I had the record until he made his post about it. And so, I mean, I guess, yeah, it was a cool honor to even be recognized for having the record. Like, I honestly didn't even realize it until he kind of brought it to light. But no, I'm happy to give up the record of most tournaments played in a year.
Yeah, so I'll call him. I'll tell him to knock off that like Rocky style training montage. I'm sure he's shadow boxing, running across the beach. I'll tell him it's safe, at least from you, for a little bit.
For sure. Yeah.
So, Thomas, you have a couple Battle with Big Maple events coming up, which I just love the Big Maple moniker. Tell us a little bit about those events coming up.
Yeah, so I started out the idea of Battle Big Maple a little bit earlier on in the season with ThoughtSpace. Kind of wanted to try to create like a fun event style tournament that I would run myself, and an opportunity to get some ThoughtSpace discs out to people, and as well run a very fun style of event. You get to go, you get 2 ThoughtSpace discs. So the goal for this one is to have one putter, so like a Numa or a Muse or something like that, and then one type of like driver, construct, coalesce, synapse, whatever your choice is, and then you bring one disc of your own from your own bag. And I think that's one of the few things that people really need to be smart about. It's like, okay, what's my go-to, and what like will kind of fill that slot the best as my third disc. And then you play 18 holes on whatever course the event's being hosted on. So like this weekend, I'll be doing it at Cedar Creek and VA Barrie down in St. Thomas. And yeah, you play the 18 holes with just those 3 discs. And then afterwards, you get a clinic with me, and as well, I'll be sprinting throughout the course, trying to catch every single group that is playing the event, and hopefully play a hole or 2 with the group, so they can kind of show me what they got, and hopefully I can show them a cool way to park a hole or throw some crazy Simon line or something fun for them all, like as I run through the course.
That's awesome. I love that you're going to try to find some time for some FaceTime with everybody. That's great. So if you know ThoughtSpace, you know that the fans of the brand like me are diehards about their stamps. Maybe this has already been released somewhere, but for me, because I haven't seen it, and for anybody that doesn't know, is there going to be an exclusive stamp there, or are we going stock run stuff for those discs that are coming with the tournament? What you got going on there?
Yeah, it is an exclusive Battle Big Maple stamp. It was the same stamp that was used for the 2 events that I ran out in BC earlier in the summer. I wish I had one with me right here, but it's a really cool stamp. It's similar to the design of the event poster. It's a giant maple tree in the middle with Battle Big Maple across the bottom, and the discs are awesome. I think I have 4 of them in my like that I'm bagging in my tournament bag right now, and so they're definitely good runs of disc that hopefully a lot of people will enjoy continuously as they play more with them in the future.
Do you know which molds you're going to have for people to choose from?
Yes, so I think the ones I mentioned, Numas, Muses, and then as well I'll have the Synapse, Omen, Coalesce, and Construct for the drivers. And I think I'll have like maybe 50 of each of the drivers, and then I think I have like around 50 of each of the 2 putter molds.
Cool.
So you mentioned Cedar Creek there, and I'm curious your opinion. I don't know if you saw this at all, but earlier, this is, I don't know, a month or 2 ago, I ran a course vote on Disc Golf Ontario to figure out which courses people like the most. P15 ended up coming in as the number 1 course, but one of the comments that I got a lot of was that Cedar Creek was way too underrated. And of course, in the voting system, it hasn't been played enough yet to have received the votes that it needs. But coming from you, do you think that it is right up there as one of the top courses that we have here in the province?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's easily in my top 5. I'm honestly looking forward to going back and playing it again because I've only played it one time before with McKinley and Dan, and I had an absolute blast. Like, I love Daryl, but I went on the same day and got like, this was back in January when I went and played Houtgoat, and Daryl's like, oh yeah, we have this amazing championship level course, and it's going to be so much fun and so much like so great for the pros. And I went out there and it was a great course. Like it met my expectations of kind of what Daryl had built up. And then McKinley had reached out to me and he's like, hey, like, we got this course on like our property that we wanted you to try out. Like, if you're in the area, we'd love to have you. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll come out and play it. And I literally thought it was going to be some like kind of rink-a-dink backyard course. And I go and it's like this amazing property, like literally one of the best courses in Ontario. And I was just absolutely blown away. So maybe it was the expectation was set so high for Houtgoat, and I literally thought it was like a couple baskets thrown together like in the woods of someone's property. And then I go and it's like this amazing, like almost tour style of course. And they did a fantastic job out there. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to going back out and playing Cedar Creek again this weekend. And I hope everyone else that plays it can, really learn and appreciate how amazing that course really is.
That's amazing. If I didn't want to get out there bad enough already, hearing that big seal of approval from you just really stamps it in. I unfortunately haven't been able to make it out there, but it was one of those ones that, like, in the comments sections, people were like, Cedar Creek's in my top 5. People need to play it more, and definitely sounds like you agree. So, people of Ontario, listen to Thomas Gilbert. Get out to Cedar Creek and play around.
And I think it's absolutely hilarious that it's going to be Cedar Creek on a 3-disc challenge.
Yeah, I know. So it'll be interesting. They did tell me that they recently have updated their Reds course, and so I believe their Reds layout now is a lot more friendly of a course. And so yeah, the Lumber Joeys and Lumber Jills, which is like the beginner and women's divisions, will be playing the red layout, and then the advanced players will be playing the blues of Cedar Creek.
I thought you were going to go in a different direction there, Sean, by saying that you love that it's going to be the big maple at Cedar Creek. I wonder if maybe after the event you're going to have to plant like a commemorative tiny maple tree somewhere on the property.
Yeah, absolutely.
So since we last had you on, Thomas, we started a new tradition on the show. So before we let you go, we'd like to hit you with a few lightning round questions. Just some quick answers, whatever comes to your mind first. And the first one I got for you, what's your favorite course? I think you might have answered this already.
Yeah, Maple Hill, for sure. And over there in Massachusetts, it's one of a kind.
Absolutely. Love that course, love working it, and it was awesome seeing you out there again this year, especially for the Matty O Ace and your video. How many views has that video got now?
On my feed alone, it has like 6.3 million, but I think it has another like 2 point something million on another round. I think there was like a Twitter video that went around that had like 15 million views. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's in like around, I don't know, 30, 40 million views total.
Wow. It's got to be up there with the Holy Shot for most viewed.
For sure.
Viewed disc golf videos. Next question. So we know your favorite course is Maple Hill. What is the hardest course that you have ever played?
It's got to be Northwood Black, I believe. I think that course is so incredibly difficult and challenging. Honestly, might not be my hardest course. That might have to go to North Cove up in North Carolina in Nashville. That course had such difficult punishing out of bounds. I think I shot one of my rounds was 11 over at that tournament.
Ooh.
And so I think that is the most over par I've ever shot on a tour course. And, but yeah. And also like a big shout out to that course. Unfortunately, they got hit super hard by the hurricane that went through there. And so I know that they're, really going to be working hard to rebuild that course to try to make it, a glimpse of what it was.
You should offer to help them and make it not as awful.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I hope all the OB ropes blew away. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I think some of the trees that made the course special might have also been swept away.
That is really too bad.
Okay, so whether it's trying to forget a difficult round at Northwood Black or North Cove, or you are trying to drown your sorrows of the loss of a course of that caliber, at least temporarily. You want to turn your brain off. You want to watch or play a sport that is not disc golf. What is that sport for you?
Oh, probably, I don't know if hiking counts or not. Like, I love going out and hiking in my spare time. I don't know. I recently got on the pickleball kick a little bit. So I've been enjoying playing some pickleball.
If you're on the break,
recently,
that's inevitable.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, probably, I don't know. Those are going to have to be my answers for now. I don't know what other sport I'd try to pursue if I had my choice at it.
We're sticking along with another really good one here. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Oh man,
hard-hitting journalism here on Miss Mando.
Yeah, I feel like teleportation is pretty sweet. The ability to just jump back and forth from anywhere. Like, if I want to be like, boom, I want to be at this course in Japan, I could just boom, pop there. I need to go to the store, boom, I'm at the store. Like, there's just so many opportunities that you can do with teleportation, especially if you can go anywhere in the world. Like, if you can just think of a place and go there, that would be pretty awesome. But even if it's like some kind of warm teleportation, I think that'd still be pretty sweet.
Save a lot
on back teleportation answers for this on the show.
I was gonna say,
wow.
If I just had a big reaction there, it's because Chantel Budinsky just said the exact same thing. Wow. I don't think anybody else has mentioned teleportation yet.
Yeah, I had to think about it for a minute, but that's definitely, I think my number one superpower.
I love that, and I love that our two of our premier Canadians are coming in with the same answer. Maybe it's because Ontario is so freaking big and we got to drive everywhere all the time.
I think that's probably what to do with
a good point.
Yeah. Teleportation or driving. You are on the road. What is your favorite place to stop for food?
Man, I love stopping in at like Chipotle, Chick-fil-A. All those places are really solid. Tropical Smoothie for like breakfast type place. If you don't know Tropical Smoothie Cafe, just like really nice, quick and easy smoothies.
When you're on this road trip, one of, I'm sure, many road trips that you have to do on the Pro Tour, you've got the music going. What's the one song where when it comes on, you are belting it out at the top of your voice or hoping this comes up at karaoke?
Oh man, I don't know. That switches up all the time. Like literally maybe a couple times a week that might switch up. I kind of have like a bunch of different songs like playing, and I'll usually stick to like 4 or 5 of them throughout like a single week of a tournament, and pretty well have those stuck in my head like at different points in time throughout the weekend. I was listening to Lose Yourself a bunch last weekend, so maybe that
classic,
total hype song.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and it worked.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely did.
It got Bunny Rabbit to win the big rap battle in 8 Mile, and it got you to win Provincials. So clearly, it's 100% win rate.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
The last one that we got for you here, Thomas. What movie never gets old, no matter how many times you watch it?
8 Mile.
I don't know. Yeah, I gotta think. I mean, especially since I've started playing disc golf, I feel like the movie's only gotten better and better. I think Happy Gilmore is like a movie that I can watch at least once a year and like never get tired of it.
Do you ever break
it's like
out?
most relatable movie to disc golf that's been invented or been made.
Oh yeah. Do you ever park it nice and close, like closer to somebody, and break out the somebody's close?
Yeah, for sure, all the time.
Happy learned to putt. And of course, play it where it lies.
Yeah, of course, always.
I think we're watching this movie differently. I was thinking more, go to your home.
Yeah.
Your home.
Meester. I could go on Happy Gilmore quotes. Sean, move us on from here.
Well, Thomas, thank you so much for, again, being our first 3-time guest, the three-peat here on the show. Before we go, any shout-outs or thank yous or anything that you would like to give? The floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of guys already shouted out the biggest thing, the Battle of Big Maple event going on this weekend. If you haven't signed up for it and still have something you want to do this weekend, absolutely sign up for this event. You'll have a blast. All the blast having you there, and I think it'll be a really fun time. So sign up for Battle of Big Maple if you haven't yet, and then as well, just continue to thank ThoughtSpace and all my sponsors for all their support and being on the tour. It's so much fun, and all the fans and people that support me too. Like, it's not possible without all of you. So big thanks to them, and thanks to you guys again for having me on. Always have a blast talking with you guys, and yeah, look forward to the next one.
Well, we can't wait for it either. Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. It has been fantastic. We will be right back on Miss Mando.
Welcome back to Miss Mando. Thank you so much to Thomas for coming on and joining us once again. Our first ever 3-time guest on Miss Mando, and super fitting that we did it with our first ever guest. And, you know, one of the best that we've got here in Ontario. But we are going to move on now to some Pro Tour stuff. Our final Pro Tour recaps of the entire season, which is absolutely crazy. And we are going to start with the USDGC / Throw Pink weekend, which, of course, is down at Winthrop University in Rock Hill, South Carolina. This is the 26th time that they will be running the USDGC. I believe they had US Women's for like 2 years early on in their history, and then of course for the past 4 or 5 years, something like that. Maybe it's even 6 now. I don't exactly remember. They've been doing the Throw Pink women's championship at the same time. But starting off in MPO, Gannon Burr outlasted a battle with Anthony Barella and a charging Calvin Heimberg from the chase card. Not the first time he's done that at Winthrop. And Gannon would go on to win by 2 strokes and claim his second career USDGC title and second major win of the 2024 season. Calvin and AB finish in a tie for second place. And Gannon led the field in strokes gained. Tee to green went 44 of 47 from C1X. 3 putts missed. That is crazy. And averaged 10.67 for the event. Over in FPO for the Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championship, world number 1, Kristen Tatar, was able to shake off a slow start and put her foot down late as she took her first career win at the Throw Pink Championship after losing in a playoff last year to Holland Hanley. Owen Scoggins finished in second place, and Evelina Salonen rounded out the podium in third. Shawnee G, let's throw it over to you and hear some of your thoughts coming out of USDGC and Throw Pink.
This year started off with Anthony Barella coming out of the gate hot, winning the Florida Open for his first Pro Tour win. He then wins Texas States and Jonesboro. The rest of the season was not quite up to that same level, though he did take down Des Moines. But he came to play at USDGC. He was leading after round 1. He was tied with Burr after round 2. Round 3, it's Barella again in the lead. But it was just not to be, because this is not his year. This is the year of Gannon Burr. This is the new era, and Gannon Burr is the king of this new era. He was not to be denied. This had to be one of the most exciting Pro Tour events of the year. And frankly, I was not expecting that going in. Most of this year, MPO has been way less exciting to watch than FPO. Kind of like the inverse of last year, with Kristen Tatar being so dominant. FPO was, I don't know, kind of boring to watch. This event was really exciting, and there were any number of players who could have taken it down in the end. It was awesome to see Calvin Heimberg making a charge on that last day, shooting an incredible round. But I mean, what can you say? This was Gannon Burr at his almost at his finest. If it wasn't for the Pro Tour Championship, which we're going to talk about next. Over in FPO, not a particularly exciting event. Kristen was doing Kristen things, and nobody else really even came close. Paige Pierce's final round was amazing. She shot a -11, 10, 20. Just a really great finish for her at this major. Galen, any thoughts? Over to you.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, the first thought is just being in awe of Gannon. I mean, creating some real space, some daylight here at this event between himself and the rest of the entire world on the most cash earned in a season benchmark. I mean, with a $30,000 win here, this vaulted him into the 170 some odd or high 160 some odd category, which was rarefied air at that point. A little shy of the 200,000 in a season benchmark, but I'm not going to drop any spoilers from the DGPT Championship, which we will talk about soon, and where I'll continue to be in awe of him. But just, man, the season he's having at this age, I think there are a few other seasons that are objectively better. People talk about that Paul McBeth, I believe it was a 2015 or 2014 season where he was just on another level. Even I've heard people talking about like the 95 season from Ken Climo. But again, we were talking last episode about like maybe Gannon certainly isn't in the conversation today for the best player of all time, but the fact that we can talk about him as being in that conversation where it's like, if he keeps this up, he could be. The fact that he was winning to the extent that he was, taking down as much money to the extent that he was this year, I'm like, wow. The fact that he's even in the conversation, and there is a conversation, this might be one of the greatest seasons of all time, is nuts. I also loved seeing Paul McBeth putting together, I don't know if putting together is the right word, but adding to what's been sort of a low-key impressive season. We have this insane standard that we hold him to, and I think a lot of us that idolize him, like I think we do, look to him and go, this is a guy that I'm used to competing for the win every single weekend, every single tournament, and perhaps not seeing him first or second or third the last little bit has been a bit of a disruption to those expectations. But I'm looking back, and the fact that second at Music City, 10th at the Champions Cup in April, 7th at the Portland Open, 2nd at the Swedish Open, 6th at Krokol, 3rd at the European Open, 2nd at the European Disc Golf Festival, 7th at Smugs, 2nd at the MVP Open, 10th at USDGC. This is a player that is not quietly going into that good night. Whatever your sport is, age and sometimes injury come for everybody, and the fact that he is strung together, I think, a really solid season that perhaps has gone a little bit unnoticed is something that I was sort of reflecting on through this event. And lastly, I would just say that it's nice to see Kristen reestablishing her form. Like we've talked about before, it's been a bit of a roller coaster this season. But, the first 2 rounds have been sort of what we've seen from Kristen so far this year, which is one of the best players in FPO, but not the dominant, like day in, day out, best in the world. If you're coming to win, you got to go through me player that she has been. Certainly last year, a bit of the year before, and at the start of this season. So, a dominant move to first in the 3rd round and a foot on the gas for a 6-stroke win for her in the finals. I was certainly happy to see that, because for me, I know it's boring, but I just love her as a player. And for me, I think it just feels like disc golf has reached its equilibrium when Kristen Tatar is dunking on the rest of the field. And it just feels nice and warm and cozy and happy for me. So I did really enjoy the event. If you guys are good, we can keep on chugging, as Conductor Robbie would say, and do a little bit of a recap here on our picks. Sean had, just to reestablish the criteria, we had decided we were going to do an MPO, an FPO pick as always, but then also a Canadian dark horse that could be from either the FPO or MPO side. There are about 6, maybe 7 names to choose from. So Sean had Paul Macbeth and Kristen Tatar, an MPO and FPO, and his dark horse was Rebecca Dawn, which, if you've been following disc golf in Ontario this year, that is a certainly reasonable pick. Oh my goodness, she's been on another planet. Robbie had Gannon Burr and Holland Hanley, and as his dark horse pick, he had friend of the show, as we just saw, Chantel Budinsky, and I had Ricky Owen Scoggins and Thomas Gilbert as my dark horse. So Sean, Paul Macbeth in 10th, Kristen in 1st, Rebecca Dawn tied for 43rd, averaged 18, which given the depths of these fields, I will take any day. Robbie had Gannon in 1st, Holland in 4th, and Chantel in 9th to average 4.67, which is crazy in fields of this depth and strength, with a dark horse pick included.
Noun.
Yeah. Hold on here, buddy. We're coming to the DGPT championship in a minute. I had Ricky, who finished 4th. I had Owen, who finished 2nd. And I had Thomas, who finished 80th in a very deep MPO field to average 28.67. So one more time, Robbie taking down the picks. I don't know. The picks, whatever. Good job. Must be nice. Over to you, Robbie, for some gloating and for the DGPT championship.
I am inevitable. That was the best Thanos impression.
I was going to say, are you sure you want to quote the guy that immediately after saying that line got destroyed by one of his opponents? Because I think that's what's actually about to happen here. So maybe I'll say I am Iron Man with my picks. Anyway.
It's true. The failed snap comes literally half a second after he finishes that line. So maybe not the best time to use it. But you know what? This season in picks, I basically have been Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. So y'all can bow down to Nostradamus. I don't know what that pronunciation was, but anyways, we are going to roll on now to the DGPT Championships, and what a season it has been. Here we are at the very final event of the 2024 Pro Tour season, the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship held at Nevin Park in Charlotte, North Carolina. As we mentioned on the last episode, players enter this event at different scores ranging from even par to -10, depending where they finished in the season standings. It's basically a 5-round tournament, with the first round being the 2024 season. In MPO, Gannon Burr and Ricky Wysocki had a battle for the ages, especially in round 2, where they beat the previous course record of -10, with Ricky shooting -12 and Gannon shooting -13 to just completely separate themselves from the rest of the field. Ricky stayed hot in round 3 and went into the final round with a 6-stroke lead, but only shot even par on the front 9, while Gannon was able to go -6 on the front 9 to tie for the lead. The back 9 saw 3 separate lead changes, but ultimately it was Gannon who was able to complete the comeback and win by 1 stroke to cap off one of the greatest seasons in the history of disc golf. Gannon wins a prize of $35,000 to bring his season total to $211,432. The first person ever to eclipse $200,000 in a single season. Absolutely mind-boggling stuff from the youngster. Over in FPO, 2024 regular season winner Missy Gannon came into the tournament with the best stroke advantage, but found herself chasing down the lead as she trailed by 3 after round 1, 4 after round 2, and went into the final round trailing Owen Scoggins by a single stroke. That's where Missy lived up to her big money nickname, though, as she would shoot the hot round and go on to win by 2 strokes over Kristen and Owen, who tied for second place. Missy has now won this event 3 times in the last 4 years, winning $105,000 just from those 3 wins. Talk about big money. Galen, let's go over to you first on this one, my friend. Let's hear some of your thoughts from the Pro Tour Championship.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting watching sort of where the separation between the very top and everybody else sort of presented itself. I mean, if you look over on the FPO side, it was Gannon and Ricky putting on a clinic and putting 10 strokes worth of daylight between themselves and the third best competitor, which is crazy. And that's been a bit of a recurring theme this season, right? I mean, we've had players that have taken down huge events, including a Worlds winner, which was neither of them. But, you know, on any given weekend, it's been Gannon and Ricky and often everybody else. And that's what we saw this weekend as well. It's a similar dynamic, though it hasn't played itself out quite the same over in FPO. Missy, Kristen, and Owen have been trading blows for a lot of the year. You had Evelina certainly taking down Worlds that you want to give a shout out to. Silva was on that hell of a run over in Europe, but not that I would exclude those sections certainly, but like that stuff notwithstanding, most weekends it was some combination of Kristen, Missy, and Owen that were right at the top of the leaderboard, and Missy with a 2-stroke lead over Kristen and Owen. But the 3 of them with 9 strokes, they were clear of Evelina and Silva and everybody else. It was 9 strokes between Owen and Evelina, 10 to Silva from Owen, and then it was a precipitous drop-off, 16 strokes between Owen and Henna. So just interesting. I mean, I don't want to discount Holland either. She's had a hell of a year, and I'm realizing now that I've omitted her in this narrative, which doesn't necessarily play itself out quite to the degree as I thought it might as I was sort of thinking this through, but certainly in MPO and definitely a little bit on the FPO side too. It was curious to see like how stark the split was between the haves and have-nots. That was just something, again, that I was sort of like, we're getting to the end of the season. I'm getting into my like reflection-y mode, and I've been doing some thinking about how that's looked this year, and that was interesting to see play out this weekend for sure. But Sean, over to you for some thoughts that you have.
I cannot recommend enough watching the full round 2 on Disc Golf Network for the MPO, just to see the absolute friggin' clinic that Ricky and Gannon put on. I mean, it is incredible that Ricky shot a -12 at Nevin, one of the hardest courses on tour, and it wasn't good enough for the hot round of the event because Gannon was an absolute monster. Ricky has the misfortune of being an incredibly strong player, first in the Macbeth era, and now having like a second resurgence in his career in the Gannon-Burr area. He is, without a doubt, the greatest second best player the sport has ever seen. I think I heard that something like if Gannon wasn't playing this year, Ricky would have won like 8 events and 2 majors, something like that. Like, just to some extent it sucks to be Ricky because he's just second best. He's second best, which is pretty darn good, but unless you want to win. One of the wildest things to watch was Burr at this event, like being kind of peacocking a little bit. trying to do the mental game on Ricky. Normally it's Ricky doing the big claps and the raptor legs and all that other stuff to try and get into the head of the other players. And Burr this time he was taking his sweet time. He didn't care if he got a time violation. What does he give a crap? He's not going to get two of them. He knows the rules. He was running in putts. He was big clapping. At one point, he just ran in a putt and then kept running to the next hole. Like, see ya. Like, I am totally here for this sort of aggressive, drama-filled mind game era of disc golf. Let's make it even more ridiculous next year as Gannon continues to have raptor legs for dinner.
Damn.
Yeah,
Raptor legs
Galen,
for
let's-
dinner.
No.
No, you go, buddy. All you.
Well, I was just jumping in to throw it right back to you. So why don't you have the ball here? And
Where's my Uno reverse card? Let me throw it back to you.
Yeah.
Before we do the picks, one thing I want to say, I really liked the format.
I love it.
of this year. Like last year with like you get the starting points and then it resets. Like that was kind of stupid. Or like was it the year before where Nathan Queen won, or is it the year before that? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was the year before that. Yeah, when it was like the rounds that you had to go through.
I love my lefty warrior, but he shouldn't win the Pro Tour Championship. This was the way it should be done. Start with the point advantage. Not a lot, but enough. And it came down to the best player and the second best player with one stroke. That makes total sense to me. The two players that started with the most points because they had the most, or the lowest score because they had the most points on the season, won the event. That makes sense to me. It was almost like a 5-round tournament where they already had one round under their belt, and that's where they sort of started from. I hope that they keep this format going in the future. I can't think of a better arrangement at this point, and they nailed it this year. Galen, speaking of nailing it, how did we do on picks?
I am iron. No. The picks I thought were about as close as it gets. I don't know if the numbers will actually bear that out, but oh my gosh. So Robbie had Ricky and Owen Scoggins, both finished second. Ricky, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Ricky and Owen both finishing second, averaging second. Crazy if you average second and second, you get second, but apparently you do. Sean had Calvin, who had that impressive performance that took him up to fourth place, tied for fourth, and Kristen Duttar in tied for second. So 4 and 2 divided by 2, carry the 1, divide by, that is an average of 3. And I, for once, chose both champions. I had Gannon Burr and Big Money Missy Gannon, both of whom won for an average of first overall. So anytime, Robbie, you would like to formally cede the title of best disc golf person picker and also coolest human around, we can have a conversation about how we transfer that title formally. And speaking of Robbie,
when you actually like tabulate the totals from the season, as you said, you'd go back and do that a couple times, and let's see if your tone stays the same when you realize that I had like 4 weeks straight of picking winners in both divisions, and you have no chance.
Let's be clear, that's very different. Who's had a performance here and there that's been good, that's one thing. And hey, you had a couple of okay moments, kid. Good for you. But for me, what matters to me is who won at the end of the season when it mattered most. They don't ask who won the President's Trophy in hockey. They don't care the New York Rangers had the most points in the regular season. They care at the end of the season when everything was on the line, who finished first. You're looking at them.
Go, yeah.
But yeah, sorry, if you wanted to talk about your performances earlier when it was less important, or anything else, Robbie, the floor is yours.
Good job, kid. Don't get cocky. The almighty words of Han Solo. No, I mean, obviously I was the best at picking this year. We all know it. I'm not going to let you get under my skin and try and take that away from me. I am the king. Bow down. But we are going to wrap up the show with one quick little piece of disc golf news. The World Disc Golf Hall of Fame class of 2024 was officially inducted. I believe this was just before USDGC and Throw Pink. They were officially inducted into the World Disc Golf Hall of Fame. So congrats to the class of 2024. Chris O'Cleary, Scott Stokely, Leonard Muse, Mike Hughes, and Terry Calhoun. Congrats to those four individuals on one of the highest honors that you could receive in the sport, being inducted into the Disc Golf Hall of Fame. I'm not sure if you guys got any quick thoughts that you have on that at all. Nope. So we will end it there. Congratulations once again to those five on getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. And that's going to do it for us here on Missed Mando. Thank you so much once again to Chantel and to Thomas for coming on and joining us. And congratulations again on their big wins. This has been a fantastic show. For Sean Galbraith and Galen Adu Harris, I'm Robbie Holden, and we will see you on the course.